All right, all right. Welcome to Liberia Shall Rise, family. This is Dr. Positive. I'm here with my brother. We're in the same state, but in another town. Mr. Sabalosia, how are you, brother?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. It's a wonderful day here for all the Christians and those who celebrate this weekend as Easter Sunday. We want to say Happy Easter, and hope you and your family spend it well, celebrating your respective faith.
All right. All right, brother. I'll let you introduce the show again. Folks, welcome. Happy Easter to all of you. Mr. Sabalosia, you take on, introduce the show. Tell us what we'll be talking about today.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you find yourself. We want to say again Happy Easter. But today we're going to be discussing issues that we think is affecting our country, and that is the labor law in Liberia. If you watch or you follow some of the things that go on in Liberia, like some of us do religiously, I've been seeing few videos come across with this team calling themselves, I think, Rescue Press. They call themselves. They've been going from stores to stores. I saw them in Kakata, I saw them around Monrovia, Pinsville, and other places. Kind of questioning the labor practices that are happening at various foreign stores or businesses. And they think that they are finding that Liberians are being ill treated at these various places, and Liberians that are supposed to be employed at these various places at some occupation, for example, like a business manager or a store board that is standing behind a counter or cashier and stuff like that, are being given to foreigners. Now, we want to look at the Liberian labor law. What does it state? I mean, if you all look back, according to the labor law of Liberia, I think it was in 1975 that it was established. And then in 1998, Charles Taylor added the liberalization policy. And then 1998, then 2015, Ellen Johnson added the Decent Work Act. But all of these different nomenclature that are being added have not changed anything, right? And under the labor law or the liberalization act, there are 26 businesses or like sectors that are dedicated solely or exclusively to Liberians. But most of these we see foreigners are the one performing this duty in Liberia. Now the question is, why has nothing changed with all the different titles being added from 1975 to 1998, the liberalization policy, to 2015, the Decent Work Act? Why hasn't anything changed? In fact, it's getting worse. But every store, and I know this for a fact, every stores in Monrovia that I have visited, whether it's Waterside or along the Bushra Island, that is owned by most foreigners, especially Indians, Lebanese, and even Chinese nowadays, the manager or the store, the cashier, the main cashier in there will be paid, from what I heard from, and this I cannot prove this, but what I heard from some of the store boys that working, some of the store guys I have relative working there, the Lebanese guy that will be standing as the store boy or cashier or whatever they call them, they get paid something up to $1,000 United States dollars. Whereas the Liberians that are working in there as store boys, some of them get $100 or less than $100, right? And I mean a month, $100 a month. Whereas the foreigner that is coming, and some of these foreigners that are coming are being given benefits. And it's sad also that our Liberian labor law does not compare these businesses to provide healthcare insurance for our people. It does not ask for any other incentive. It is left as optional based on the law that I read. It's optional for these businesses to add those other incentives like health benefits, social security, or welfare, or whatever those other or addition that you get from our employment that we do here in the States and other countries. But we need to look at those. Why is Liberia lagging when it comes to how we treat or how we prioritize our citizens? You know, so we're going to be touching on those things and see where we all can kind of make sense out of it. And again, it is Dr. Positive or I, none of us are expert or economic experts, but we're just going from the layman point of view. For me, I was down other side and all over Moravia to do as a younger boy, and I saw those things in the store. So I'll be speaking from that angle and
So
knowing what.
you still an expert, my man. Don't don't. Yeah, you're still an expert. So with our how you call it minor expert experience, I would say these are things that should be discussed honestly, because um, our people. The question here is, our people, do they have someone to run to if they are being maltreated? Like in America, every office you go to, they have this labor thing posted on the wall that says employee right, that says if something happened to you, you can report this here, right? So my question to our Liberian labor ministry would be: are you doing the same for our fellow Liberians? Do we have a hotline that people can call if somebody is being abused? Because the thing is, Sabalusia, job is so hard to come around in Liberia that I believe that so many people are being abused and they just keep quiet because they don't have nowhere to run or nowhere else to go, and nobody will come to their aid. So if I'm working for, let's say, this person store, and I go and tell the government, hey, this person doesn't pay me on time. For the last 6 months, I haven't gotten my pay. He only paid my way to go home and things like that. And then all of a sudden, this guy he lose his job, right? Who can fight for him? Are even lawyers willing to help? Over here they have pro bono lawyers that will fight for you to fight cases like that. In Liberia, I don't even know if you even better get a seat with a lawyer if you don't have money. You understand? So the government need to step in. All we are asking here is the government need to step in and say, hey, we have the labor police that you can report a case to, and we'll send our undercover shoppers, the secret shoppers there, to check to see if this person is really, if this company is really doing what they say, what this person reported. If it is happening, then that company need to pay some huge fine and pay penalties for the paying that the cost that person, or even pay back wages if they haven't been paying that person, and make sure the person keep their job. But this is the thing, Sapolosia, from some of the videos that I saw online, which I couldn't get, I wanted to have them to share the way these guys talk to our people, right? The way they talk to our people like they are nothing.
Mhm.
If a government officer or police officer or the government, for example, say, hey, John Brown, you doing this, you have to pay this fine, and that person pay that fine, do you think the place of work for that person that reported will be a safe place for that person to work anymore?
So, Dr. Paulson, let's look at it from before we answer that question, but let's look at what happened too, right? In order, and there's this saying we always say it. They say the man who lives in a glass house should not throw stone.
Mm-hmm.
In order for first, and we got to be bold and we got to be direct about these things. In order for the government, in my opinion, to hold these private entities or these foreign entities responsible, the government itself should be responsible, right?
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah.
Right? Because here we are, and this one, if nobody knows it, go in the street of Monrovia and see your police officers in the street. They are not well taken care of. So the policeman who stands in the street and directs traffic and would battle crimes and whatever, petty crimes and whatever crime, major crimes, they are not well taken care of by the government themselves. And that's a in my opinion, just from that outset, that's a bad labor practice done by the government itself. So the government itself, and that's why I say in my intro that the government should be privatizing its people. Because if you're not privatizing a citizen, the foreigner that is coming will not privatize them. And at the end of the day, money becomes the controlling factor where they go and put money in somebody's hand and they take it and they don't seek the need of their people. No, we have to take the liberalization policy serious. We have to take patriotism a serious thing, not just something that we talk about. Being a nationalist should be a priority of Liberia, especially coming out of war. People pay the price for these things. So, in order for these people, these foreign companies to take us serious, why it is true, and I admire those guys who are taking their cameras to the various stores, the Lebanese guys, and identifying these things. That is great. But I want them also to take the same time to go to the various schools and interview these teachers, the classroom teachers. What's the benefit they're getting from their own government? Let them go to the hospital, the nurses, Phoebe, JFK, and other places. What are they getting from there? Because the labor practices is not only the foreigner that are coming in, but the reason, in my opinion, the foreigners are doing it is because they see the government themselves doing it. From what we know, and I could be wrong. I'm not, like I said, I'm not an expert, the economic expert here, but government employ most of the citizens in Liberia at this time. Most of the employment is done through government. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. Maybe 60, at least 60 to 70% of those that can say are permanently employed, maybe done by government. So if your government are in position or is in position to employ your people, and you're not practicing what you preach, it's going to be difficult for you to hold the other person accountable. And the bold thing about these guys is some of them will tell you, "Hey, I'm going to call the 102, which is I think the second main command at the police. I mean, at the police headquarters also. They're quick to say that. They're quick to tell these people, "I'm going to call your boss and something like that," because they know that at the end of the day, it is not the Liberian that matter. It is the boss pocket that matter. So the government needs to. And that's the thing. Civil society, opposition, political parties, religious leaders. These are your roles in society. The fourth estate, the media institutions, some of them. These are your roles in society. But they're not doing it. Why? Because everybody just think about themselves. But if you look at what's going on in Liberia, it's bad. We got people who are working in positions that Liberian qualified Liberians can be working in. Let us look at water side. Most of the Indian or Lebanese guys are coming to work as cashier or accountant in those places. Go to LU. LU put out accountants every year. Now they got UMU that doing the same thing. We got the AMEU that doing the same thing. Cottington doing the same thing. So you can't tell me that you don't have qualified Liberians to serve as an accountant in a business in a store. That you have to bring somebody from Liberia to, I mean, from Lebanon, India, Turkey, or wherever you're coming from to bring them to work in there. Yeah. And this is something that we need to talk about. This is something that we need to address. This is something that should be a talking point by the lawmakers themselves. Unfortunately, everybody just sticking their pockets.
All right, Mr. Sapolosia, great point, right? Great point. And I think this is why you said we have to have a serious government. We have to have a government that understand the role of its work is bigger than just uh, making speeches and things, right? Because um, we have the Ministry of Labor, right? We have the Ministry of Labor. Uh, the question here is, does the Ministry of Labor have anything in their um, documentation that says um, if Liberians are hampered at work, if Liberians are abused at work, this is the number that it needs to call, because that's the first place. Something needs to be reported, right? If you cannot report in statistics, I think they say you cannot measure what you cannot count, right?
Yeah.
You cannot measure what you cannot count. Even the U.S. Consumer Bureau, I think the Consumer Protection Agency, right?
Mhm.
If you send only one call, they're not going to respond to it. They're not going to contact that company, right? But they receive multiple calls from the same company then before they start taking action. You understand? So we not, and I will first pause here to say I want to admonish all the businesses that came into Liberia, international companies that came into Liberia, right? We want to thank you for coming to Liberia. You could have chosen any other country, but you chose Liberia. But now, this is the thing. Even though, in as much as we appreciate you being in Liberia, you have to be more than just making money for yourself. You have to do things to help our people, right? But then coming back to you, Sapolosia, what you said in reference to the government is, if you cannot track something, how do you know how many people are being abused? All right, so let's just say the guys that did the reporting, right? Is if it's one store they reported on and that one person is the only person being impacted, now can we just go and say all Lebanese people are abusing their employees? No, right? But until we have a means of tracking this thing to say, all right, in the month of January, we had 20% person reported that this store was abusing their employees, and the employees themselves reported it, right? And we saw besides the employee reporting it, the general public also reported the activity, right? So once the hotline is made public, that everybody who sees somebody being abused, it's not just a person that is being abused. Because many times, as we saw one time in Red Light, this a person was killed right in Red Light, right? People are beating that person until they beat the person to death, and nobody stopped that person. But if we had a hotline that said, all right, if you see some crime, report it. I know you
They got
report it in,
911 like girl.
yeah, they got 911 in Liberia, but it's not functioning in the way it's supposed to function, right? Because for a citizen to be beat on the street, and that person be beat, get beaten until they are killed, that's a sad thing. But what not to get away from my subject, what I was saying is, let's say we got one store out of the 1 million, 1,000 stores we have in Liberia, right? And you have the general public and the employees of that entity continuously reporting every month, oh, this person has been abused so bad, nobody should be treated this way, right? You may find maybe 10 people will go to the store, but out of that 10, maybe 2 or 3 will report, right? When they see, some people will just see things and say, oh, this is normal in Liberia. That's how it is. The man working here, he have to respect his boss, right? But some people will not say stand for that. They will say, listen, this have to stop. You understand? So those people that will stand up for their fellow Liberians and report that case somewhere, then we have this entity that is keeping track of this reporting. Once it reaches a certain threshold, right? If we set it to maybe 10, 15, when we get 15 calls in from this place that says this entity is abusing somebody, we need to send our investigator undercover, right? We send them and watch few times, and once we catch the eye, that person get brought to justice immediately. You understand? And the person will already be blacklisted or blue listed, you can say. Once they get on that list, it's something that our entity have to keep track of. Now, but who do that work? Is it the national police? Is it the labor ministry? You understand, Sapolosa? Who do that work? Who take on the charge to do this work such that when government change, this doesn't stop?
So the Ministry of Labor they have inspectors, right? They are the one that's supposed to do those inspections. Now, when it comes to what arrest and things, they're where they turn those people over to the police if there's supposed to be a criminal record or criminal or crime committed, and that has to go to court and all that stuff. Then that way it goes to the court system. But let me be realistic here. Liberal labor abuse is not something new. We can go as far back as Firestone. I've been to Firestone several times. I used to go to the very plantation just to visit relatives. Okay, where they were giving hectares to one man who they know cannot do the job, but because they
Mhm.
know the man is married, he got kids, they're expecting him to complete a task that one man cannot complete. So you have to use his kids and
Yeah,
his
yeah,
spouse
yeah.
or his family to get that job done. And the problem about it is the government has never taken any stand against any company that I know of. Besides these things they put in the news, oh yeah, we prosecuted 1 or 2 people in bomb mines. That one of the cases that was there. Oh, we prosecuted. Why are you going to bomb mines? I know there's one Chinese one for the Chinese Sunday is prosecuted. I think 1 or 2 people from bomb mines or one of the mining company that is there. That was it. But why go that far when you're right in Morovia, Central Morovia? You got
Mhm.
people being abused. I remember, I think it was last year or the year before, where on the Bushra Island. Okay, in fact, that's one of the practices that I have taken now in Bushra, in Morovia area, where they don't employ the Liberians, they just put them on contract. Okay, even though they're not, because these are not temporary jobs, these are
Yeah,
jobs are supposed to extensive job that permanent company open, right? But they're not employing the Liberians. All they're doing is they bring their 1 or 2 Lebanese or whoever they bring in from out of the country to get them permanent employment. But the Liberians they get in 3 weeks contract. Then
yeah.
they cut that contract, or then they get another 6 month contract. Those are all abuse of labor. to be realistic, because they don't want to give the incentives that a full-time employee will get. They don't have to provide the protective gears. There are
All
some
right.
that shows where the people are working in the hardware area. They don't have helmet. They have on regular slipper, and some of the slippers are even tuned. You and I here, when we're working in any, we are protected by OSHA. Where we're working in certain area, we have to have a closed-toe shoes. And some places, especially for people who working in construction area, you have to have a steel-toe shoes because
Yeah.
heavy metal or something could fall on
So,
your toes.
for
So those are
example,
provided.
all stellar metal employees that work in the mines and all those stuff, they have to have steel
They're supposed
toe
to have
and they have
high,
the protected
yeah, high
hat.
helmet, reflective gear, just in case they work at night. They're supposed to have steel-toe shoes. Okay, there was one of those one. I think the one was still in Nima or Metal was one of those places. But there was one where they had the oil palm. I watched that oil palm era where they say they will be doing oil palm stuff. No shoes. Some of the guys are sharing the boots, the rain boots they gave them. Yeah, they're sharing rain boots. No gloves. But the labor minister, they know about these things, but because they don't care about their citizens, that's the problem we have in Liberia. The people do not care about their citizens.
So
So the
some of
people
this, I
become
ask you
numb to the plight of their citizens because they don't care about their citizens. They become numb to the citizen plight.
again, Sapolosia, everybody, I said this here before, I will say it again. You know, we usually look at government change, we look at the new president, we look at the new minister, the new director. Um, the people doing these roles have to know the importance and the essence of their role, right?
Mhm.
For example, I don't think President Bouaka in his status should even put him mouth in labor business, right? Until there's a big failure happening that it cannot, it's so shameful to the country that he had to step up as a leader, right? But the labor minister should be the one spearheading all these things, right? Because his title says labor minister. Because I don't accept they tell me it means something else, right? The minister of labor should be the one spearheading these things. Have people in all these counties, not just Monrovia, right? All these counties have inspectors going weekly, daily to go and check those places to see how Liberians are being treated, right? And this thing should be reported somewhere. But if the labor minister doesn't see the magnitude of work he has to do and the value of his work, then he just sit in Monrovia and signing documents, signing paycheck, hiring new people, and then going on his day-to-day activity. There should be a plan in that labor ministry that says, all right, we have 1,000 companies that are owned by foreigners. The first thing we want to know is how many Liberians are working there. Then the question our brother River says Pro is asking here, in America, we have minimum wage. We have minimum wage in America here. Do they have minimum wage in Liberia? How much is an employee supposed to be paid? From a private sector perspective, how much is that person supposed to be paid? And once that is established, those can be the first question that can be asked when you go interview somebody at a company. Let's see your paycheck. How much did you make this month? If it's less than the minimum wage, that company should be fined and ask them to pay back payment to that employee. But back to what we said earlier is, if the government doesn't have protection for its citizens and that person report that, oh, this company is not paying me, and the fact that that person is even a contractor, this company can immediately fire them and hire another contractor. We don't owe you anything since you are not our full-time employee. You understand? So River says Pro, these are things that, again, we have to dig deeper to find out, because I don't think, even if it's on paper, the people that are supposed to be doing the work are not doing the work to find out, hey, if we say Liberians should be paid $100 a month, or $1 an hour, 150 an hour, $2 an hour, a penny an hour, who is there to track how many employees are being paid a penny an hour or $1 an hour? Who is tracking that? And the labor ministry, the finance ministry, they should be able to see that when the person paycheck come in, if they are seeing so many people paycheck coming in and it's less than the minimum wage, somebody from the finance ministry uh, should be able to come up and say, hey, or not finance ministry, but Liberia tax, the tax revenue, it's a LRA, right? The tax revenue authority. They should be able to see that because they are collecting taxes from employees' paycheck already. So if you're seeing that people paycheck is coming in and it's less than the minimum wage, before you collect tax, you should be calling our company and say, hey, we have a minimum wage at $1 an hour. Why are you paying these people 10 cents an hour? Why are you paying these people 20 cents an hour? Right? Before you take your taxes. But if the revenue authority is just collecting tax and not asking these questions, then people will continue to be abused. You understand? So if you just look at it, the labor ministry have to play its part, the Liberian Revenue Authority have to play its part, and then the central government have to play its part. But if everybody just sitting there in their own little corner minding their business, then who take charge of this?
So you see, Dr. Positive, let me tell you this: it's not a game. What a President Buckeye wants to say he doesn't know about it, or all the former president can say they don't want to know about it. I don't want to believe so, because I remember during Charles Taylor's time, that's the time we were in high school, where we were actively listening to what was going on, and we know that 1998 that was brought up about the liberalization policy in 1998. Okay, who was one of the big advocates for the abuse, the labor abuse in Firestone and other areas? Samuel Kofi Woods. He used to be one of the big advocates. But guess what? He became labor minister under Ellen Johnson. What did he do? Nothing. So it's not that they don't know about it. To be frank, because I used to follow this guy back in the day where I think you're working either Radio Verita, one of those, I think the Cali radio station, and a few other United Nations radio stations as well. Because I follow Samuel Kofi Woods back in the days when he used to blast on this very media about the labor abuses in Firestone and other places, only for him to become labor minister in 2006, and he did nothing to address it. And it's the same thing. What a President Buckeye would now say he doesn't know about it, then it's one thing. Because if he gets here, he doesn't know that the mild labor practice in Liberia, when he was LPMC managing director or when he was vice president, then I don't know what it is.
No, but Sapolosia, what I'm saying, you're not
I'm
understanding my
coming to your
point.
point. I'm coming to your point. I'm not.
Mm.
I'm not saying at this time he should be dealing with it. That's not what I'm saying. But as a president, every person you appoint in office supposed to report to your office. So if these have been sticking points in Liberian history, because that is why you're making these laws.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they made a law 1998. They made the labor law of Liberia for liberalization policy or whatever. 1975, Charles Taylor 1998 created the liberalization policy to boost that up. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, President Buckeye was vice president to her, created the Work Decent Act or the Decent Work Act. So it is not in a vacuum. So that means he knows something about bad labor practices that's going on in Liberia. Because under the liberalization, I mean the Decent Work Act is where they introduced, I think, $60 or $65, no, $6 an hour for work for skilled labor, and I think $4 an hour for unskilled labor. It's under those laws. So you can't tell me as the president, you know that these things have been happening all along when you're in the lower ranking of government. And then when you get to the above, then you forget about that. Like I just gave you a simple example. Samuel Kofi Woods was one of the main advocates. When he became labor minister, there was series of abuse at Firestone that was put out there. He did nothing about it. He went there, got his own money, and came and sat down. So the first thing is we got to prioritize our people. That's the reality.
So you kind of agree with Emmanuel Flomo here. Emmanuel Flomo said the director and the inspector for labor ministry are all corrupt. So
Well, and
you
this is a person who is working in Liberia. But no, and I don't want to just limit it to the executive. The lawmakers, again, the representatives, they are all part of this. Because each of these people who are working in these zero companies and stores, they are living in their districts. What are they doing for their people? So look, it is not. I'm not just pointing at one group of people, but everybody is responsible. That's why I name the religious group that in Liberia that can only talk about certain things. Okay, when you're affecting government officials, that's the only time, or when you're affecting the government, that's the only time they can come out to preach the Bible or how holy the country should be, or should be fasting and praying. They are some of the enabler of the country, the religious leaders, the civil society, where our traditional leaders who become chiefs, but now they're asking for cell phone and they're asking for cars. What's happened to your tradition, right? What happened to community leaders? Everybody needs to get out of this political fantasy they live in, where when the Unity Party is government and I'm part of Unity Party, then everything else is secondary. No, we should take care of our people. Let us stop forget becoming sycophant or whatever you want to call them.
So Sapolosa again, we try to provide solution on this platform, right? How can we fix this? That's coming back to everything that everybody we need, right? Pulling names here, there, and things like how can we fix it? Who should be responsible for this, right? Because this is something that, like I said, I wouldn't ask President Bouaka to take charge of. I mean, he can have a speech and talk about this, but that's not his responsibility as a president, right? He appoints people. So how can we hold the people that own who have positions? How can we hold them responsible to really pursue the work that they were hired for? Because the Minister of Labor, the Justice Ministry, all these people should be partnering, the police or whoever is responsible. All these people that are responsible for enforcing law, they should be partnering together. The labor minister should be going to the Ministry of Labor, or not Ministry of Labor, Ministry of how you call it, the Justice Ministry, and say, hey, we have this problem. Or going to the representative and say, we have this problem. But who take charge? Who become the champion of this issue? Other than the kids that are taking their cameras, right, and putting their life in danger, because those guys can hurt them anytime. They can pay anybody to beat them up, right? And these kids are putting their life in danger, going to these different stores and say, hey, they are reporting Liberian labor issues. Should it be those kids, or should it be the labor minister, or should it be the justice minister? Should it be the police? Anybody, we need somebody to hold this role and take charge. Who can be our champion?
Okay.
Sapolosia, help me.
No, I can help you. I mean, I have solution for you. Steve, let us not forget. The last time I checked, the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs takes about $21 million home as their annual budget. There where that's the president's office.
Mm.
So in that ministry, I am sure there are people who should be receiving report from the various ministry and agencies that will take those to the president's desk to look at issues that are happening in the country. Okay? So you ask who can solve it? That's one. The State for Presidential Affairs, that's their duty to report to the president, to collect all the information. Two, the lawmakers in the districts. Those are their constituents. They work to those places and they hear about them. They know of these things. The lawmakers are now calling the labor ministry and say, hey, Mr. Minister, this is what my constituents say. They're not doing it. Why? Because everybody is happy receiving $200,000 to go to the border and dance. Everybody, these are serious issues. We got issues, burning issues affecting the country. But you got a bunch of people sitting in Capitol building and just taking money and wasting it. Why? The typical Liberians are suffering. Those people are the one responsible. The justice ministry can come, but in order for the justice ministry to act, somebody got to hold it accountable. So the president has to hold each and every minister that he appoints or director he appoints accountable. And the lawmakers have a duty to their people to hold these ministers and hold the president accountable before passing a budget and asking for extension to put small money in there for themselves or put a lot of money in there for themselves. They should be asking for benefit for their citizens. And the
Sapolosia,
lawmakers, yes.
hold on 1 second. Riverside Pro, man, you need no permission to call him, man. Just call in and start asking permission. Just call. Go ahead, Sapolosia.
Yeah, so if you ask what's the solution, the number one solution is accountability for everybody. Everybody needs to be held accountable. If you and I will work here, okay, whether you work remote or you work in the office, you have to give a monthly report. I do all the time. I got to give monthly report of the money that is given to me to run a department.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't do that one or two times, I'm fired. So how can we run Liberia the same way? And most of these people who we're talking about, some of them have come in America, some of them have lived in America, they have lived in other Western countries, and they have seen these practices. So why, when it comes to Liberia, there it is nothing, and we're still thinking that Liberia will develop magically? No, we have to put a system in place, and one of those things is taking care of the Liberian citizen, making
So,
sure their well-being is a focus. Yes.
so Sapolosia, I think for me, Riverside Pro, you can call in anytime you're ready. I'm watching the phone. Once you call in, we'll answer your call. But I think just to kind of help the government, maybe the government don't know what to do, right? So let's come up with a series of things we can advise our government on doing, right? Right now, Ellen Johnson was able to make it possible that even those on pension get direct deposit, right? So everybody that is employed at any company, a simple thing to know, like Riverside Pro was asking, what is the minimum wage, and who check to see if the minimum wage is being paid, and if not, what happened, right? So just talking here, I just came up with a plan to help our government. One, everybody that is being hired by a company must first have a bank account, right? And there should be like a free checking account in they should make it possible so that encourage the common people to have checking account, because most of the banks charge $5, $10, and me who doing my little who won't work, I'm not gonna do that. So I think everybody got to get on board here, right? So the government should say every employee should have a bank account. Once every employee have a bank account, every company have to pay their employees direct deposit. In that way, no company can say, hold on, let me pick up Riverside Pro call. Hello? All right, hold on, let me put you on. But you hold on, let me finish my thought first, okay? Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I was saying is that once the government ensure that everybody that get hired have direct deposit, the LRA can now check to see, all right, if company A is paying John Brown and company A pay John Brown $25 a month, that $25 a month is less than the minimum wage in Liberia. Once that person is put on that LRA roster as an employee, that person is entitled to at least $75 a month. Let's just do $75 or 150. Let's say 150 as a minimum wage. If that person doesn't receive the 150, the company have to state why did this person not receiving this 150. So you see how everybody getting their role, because the LRA itself now is going to be checking, and then once the LRA see that coming in, they report to the labor ministry and say, hey, we have this company that is depositing this amount in people check, and we're not seeing the minimum wage. You need to send your inspectors to take action, right? Call those employees and start taking immediate action. So without even doing plenty of things, just these three actions, the government can fix, at least start fixing this problem. Let me take Riverside Pro call, then I can let you respond. Riverside Pro, go ahead.
Yeah, guys. How you doing, man?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Yeah, thank you very much for the show, man. This is very important for our society, But guys, I think I'm sorry to say, but I think a lot of these things are unrealistic in our society, though.
I beg to differ, man. Me who believe that Liberia will
Yeah.
rise someday. I beg to disagree with Riverside Pro, but go ahead.
Yeah, because Steve, Sap, is when I came back before I start doing what I'm doing now, my social work thing. I work in cereal warehouses. I remember I got hired to this place. I was there for 2 years. I got hurt. Popped my finger, and they took me to the hospital, sent me to Fredo Hospital. The finger, guys, I'm telling you, just a little finger. When the hospital built me, I couldn't believe it. 5,000. Those people paid that money. They were afraid. They took picture of my finger because the fall was from one of the machine malfunctioning. They asked me what happened. I didn't even find no case anything. And I'm telling you, imagine, guys, when I'm in Liberia, you think I'm going to let them pay that 5,000 to somebody? I would take out my finger and tie it, put alcohol, put whatsoever on it, and that $5,000. I couldn't believe it. Just a little cut. But it just tell you how much these people emphasize on it and how much precaution, how much safety these people need at job. At that job we have, safety was a priority over there. So, and as I commented, what I had an oil spill at one of those jobs, and they did nothing about it. One of those guys, our black American guys, 5 young people they call OSHA, they were panicking. They panicked. OSHA came there and warned them. They were wondering who said it. They looking at me. Maybe he was really dead about it. It wasn't me. So yeah, because people, somebody just after that because somebody could slip and fall. When somebody slip and fall, they could sue them.
Yeah.
But they decided to say, we don't want. But in Liberia, guys, what I'm saying is not realistic. Those guys you're talking about, those attorney guys like what's your name, or Tiawo Bongo, you were one of the poor man lawyer. When you file in claims for those people, like I saw this one lady, I think it was Metal Steel, one of those places. The lady got hurt, guys. They sent her home. They called it negligent, even though when you look at the whole situation, it was not her fault. They tell the woman why you were not careful. So, these people work on an unsafe environment. But if you try to fight a case, they lose their jobs, guys. If they lose their job, they don't have no more job. That's why some of those guys, they just, some people don't report cases, those bad practices, labor practices. People don't report it. Even the money, the wages we're talking about. You not people to them, they will say, oh, you ain't telling God, some of your friends ain't working. And Steve and Seth, you need a job. So that's why I say these things. Yeah, we got option. I can leave a job anytime I know that I'm qualified. I walk away from this job, I can get another job in less than 2 weeks. I put in my resume, on any site. But the people over there, they don't have the option, guys. So even if those malpractices are against, against them, they just don't have the choice. So that's what I'm saying. Those things are not these things that we experience in the Western world, they're not applicable over there. Because if you decide to apply it, guys, how many people will lose their job over there? Be that you tell it on the company, oh, you go worry about all the people, they sack you. And who would, so that's fine, guys.
No, I get your frustration, Riverside Pro, but we cannot just sit down and say it's unrealistic, so we cannot talk about it, right? So I think at some point, if the people in this position, every lawmaker, every representative, were put in this position to say, I'm going to fight for my people, what is this fight? What fight are you willing to fight? How many lawmakers or how many representatives have even taken this thing to the floor to discuss it? Like these videos populate online the same way you and I on Facebook every night. These guys are on Facebook every night watching the new G's in Liberia. So they see these things. When these kids post it, it comes to their feed. They see it. So how many of them are willing to stand for their people? I think that's where the question lies. Like, who is going to take the stand? Who is going to be the hero for the Liberian people? Sapolosi, I'll let you chime in then.
Yeah, so I don't see, we're not blaming the employees. We're not saying all of our discussion have been towards the lawmakers, as well, at least mine, towards the lawmakers and the government officials. Let's be realistic. We have government officials, especially from, I think, if I'm not mistaken, from around assistant minister and assistant director and up or above. Most of them travel out of the country for treatment. Most of them.
Mm-hmm.
The money is not coming from somewhere else. The money is coming from government. So if the money is coming from government to send them to all these different expensive places, why can't we redirect that money to the Justice Ministry to fight the Liberian people case so that the private entity can pay? That's what I'm saying. It's accountability. So if the laws are there, if the government itself is holding itself responsible, it will be all the whole companies responsible. But the government itself is not doing it. That's my point. The government cannot provide for it. Classroom teachers. walk up and down the streets, and they get most of them, they're getting $125 US a month. They don't have transportation, they don't have cell phone or allocation, they don't have rent payment, they don't have any allowances besides what they do. And if you look at the labor law, that's what the labor law states. So the labor law is not intended for the Liberian citizens. That's what I'm saying. We should now start to prioritize our citizens over anything. But what they're doing is, those that are in power, they're only sticking their pockets. That's all. But it is possible, and it can happen in Liberia with the political will and the human will in the country. But the problem is our people, the lawmakers who in these districts, that the people are running from every day to walk to work, they don't care about them. The budget just, look, in the space of 20 years, Liberian budget have gone from less than $1 million to $1.2 billion. But nothing have changed for the common people. And Roma said, "Pro, you telling me that these things that we're talking about cannot take place?" Yes, they can. Yes, they can. 200,000 I was just spent 2 days ago, but for the lawmakers, for at least I think 5 people to go to the border. Do you know
200,000.
$200,000 US can do for a school building in Monrovia? But it's because they don't care about the citizens. What they care about, when the time comes, they will run to them. And I don't blame them sometimes. I blame the people and put them in.
So hold on, though, Sapolosia. Anyway, I think that's another show for another day. Let me let Riverset Pro come in to got 200,000 to go to a border. Anyway, Riverset Pro, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I got your point though, but guys, look at the high employment rate. I think those are factors. So I hope one day will come. Oh, I mean, there's a great topic we can have an expression, so we can really go into the issues that are leading to a lot of those. You're looking at the high unemployment in the country. That's one of the issues that one of the places that I'm coming from. When you got higher unemployment and other things, guys, I think people just accept the situation that they are in, because they say, well, at least I got a job. Like some police say they will pay the foreigner more money than the Liberian guy. It's understandable, guys. Some police say you're right. When I lived in Ivory Coast, I live in Danone, Ivory Coast. Most of those stores you see over there, they were Ivorian. Most of the stores that are Mauritanian owned. Most of the people I saw that were Mauritanian. I didn't see a lot of hello?
Yeah, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah. I didn't see a lot of Lebanese in there. It was mostly Mauritanian. But most of the Mauritanian stores, it was mandatory. The people that worked there were all Ivorian. I never saw any Chinese or any other national that were outside of Ivory Coast or nationality that worked there. Their system was unique. Imagine, Danone was the far from Abidjan, but they had a system that all those store boys, they were all Ivorian. All those areas, all those Mauritanian people and some of those other Arabs people, they had people. So, you see, that was it. So, even back in the days, guys, we had a problem. I don't know, maybe you guys, I'm kind of like a little bit older. But Seti brother, I remember something happened at Seti brother.
We all remember that time. We all remember that, brother.
Yeah.
Talk about yourself. Don't talk about me. I know. Rest of the story.
Yeah, one of those guys got mad. He cut a Lebanese man. I think they cut the Lebanese man. The guy just got angry. He was mad because the way he was being treated, the discrimination, and nothing was being done about it. He got mad. He took the collars because it was one of those high west stores. They sell collars and other things. Those normal things. The military people cut the man. Imagine. That's how frustrated the people got at that time. So those things are still happening, guys. Those people, they are frustrated because they don't have option. When they leave that particular store, the kids got to go to school. So they would just sit there and just absorb everything like sponge absorbing water. They said, let me just take it in. Because at the end of the day, our labor laws are so weak. I mean, Ministry of Labor, like you guys were saying. So I think Steve said something over there finally. The people, the government functionary over there is not even right. I remember when Joseph Walker made that thing during his speech when he said what was that 70,000 jobs. Guys, in America, the Labor Department gave labor statistics. When someone else started asking, guess who are coming on? Mo Ali. Every information, they all costing do. And, I told one of the lady on my post, I said, you live here in America. They said Mo Ali job. Mo Ali is the pipe bomb water. I said, when in America you ever heard of somebody that's responsible for the fire department or the purple come and speak on labor issues? That's not his place. But everybody trying to defend everybody when Joseph Walker made that statement. We came against it. We don't know. You don't have 7,000 jobs. Mo Ali came on. You're telling people, oh, this job or this job. You're coming out. I said, that's not his function. So, guys, I think, we don't have a system. And apparently the labor minister don't even know his own job, the labor statistics, how many people being hired, how many foreigners, how many Liberians are being hired.
Rosa, I know why you have your line breaking up now. The Liberian not call your line. I said, Liberian Telecom not call your line, man. I know where you are. You calling BB people name, man.
Okay, yeah, so that that's the point I'm making, man. I'll be following the show.
All right, thank you
so much. But no, you see, Steve, that's the problem we have. One of the problems we have is that, again, and I will keep stressing this: nobody wants to be held accountable. Now we're talking about unemployment rate. Just imagine in a country where your unemployment rate is high, then you bring in a foreigner to do the job that the Liberians supposed to do. Then you said unemployment rate. Those are some of the factors. Every store, we got more than 200 or more than 1,000 stores right from Bushra Island to Red Light all the way. Those Lebanese store, every one of them, the next guy in line behind the counter is a foreigner.
I mean, Sabalosia, let's talk to, right? Like I was saying in the back room before we came live, right? The next guy in line is fine to be the next person in line.
I would not accept anything.
Let's be realistic.
I would not agree. I would not
be realistic.
I start a company, the business manager, when we got thousands of
hold on, Sabalosia. Let me make my point. You start a company. You need to bring somebody that is of the same mindset with you, right? Other people can be trained to move on to that position later on. But when you're starting a business, honestly, most of the time people bring somebody that is their confidant, somebody they trust to take that position. So this next guy in line is fine. But then after that next guy, let's say 90% of the employees should be Liberians, 10% should be the people that own the company. You can say that because people coming to invest their money. We have to be realistic, right? The problem I have with this whole situation is from the next guy in line to maybe if that 10 person working in the store, you have 7 foreigners and 3 Liberians. That's a no for me. You understand? I think the government should have this thing where somebody is inspecting and checking to say every company, if the policy says 90% of your employees should be Liberians, 10% should be your own experts, that's fine. And then over time, that number should decrease, right? The 10% should decrease to maybe 5% over time, right? But in the beginning of the entity, you can say 10% your own people, 90% of the regular labor should be Liberians.
Okay,
in
so
that way,
let me give you the labor law.
No, hold on. Let me finish now.
No, let me give you the labor because I don't want to go based on assumption. Let us go based on the law.
Come there, Sapodosia. But over time, if that company is not training people, Liberians, to take on roles that Liberians are capable of doing, then that becomes a problem. That's what I was going to say, because you can't have somebody in a position forever. Over time, you have to train people to take on those roles. And then if the company is expanding, you can start moving people in different roles. But anyway, go ahead with the labor law.
Yeah, the Liberian labor law states that the only time any company that is being established in Liberia that you can bring foreigner to occupy a position unless there is no qualified Liberian to do that job. Like business manager in Liberia, right? Like the Lebanese got a store. Most Lebanese stores we see in Liberia, most of the 2 Lebanese guys in there. The 2 Lebanese in there, one is the man who owns the business, and the second is the business manager. A position that is to be held by a Liberian. Okay, and let us not forget. We shouldn't act like it's not happening. Most of the money these guys use to open their stores in Liberia is from the Liberian government.
Mhm.
This is something that have been proven. There are data that have been proving that most of the foreigners in Liberia go to the Liberian banks, not even the commercial banks sometimes the central bank, and they get money and go open businesses with no stipulation, just as they have done with other companies in Liberia.
So so
They don't put the Liberian citizens' interest ahead. They put their personal pocket ahead, and that is wrong. We shouldn't sit and try to minimize this thing because it shouldn't be.
so don't we cannot blame the company themselves, right? That's why I'm saying if you
I
look
didn't
at
blame the
everything,
company. Sure. I mean,
yeah,
I have
we
not
have
blamed
to
the
blame
company.
the host.
All my argument have been the executive and the lawmakers. Those are that what I have said all throughout today. I've been
Yeah,
consistent with that.
because the whole system, even the banks should be regulated by the central government that says, hey, if you are giving loans, Liberians should get loans. If Liberians are, and somebody posted something, it was in reference to something else. This girl says she went to Liberia as a doctor. She was the leader, she was the head. She was taking her junior along with her, right, to Liberia. And when she got there, every Liberian that came to talk to them went to talk to this white person who was her subordinate. You understand? This white person was her subordinate, but everybody went to talk to the subordinate and they started asking her, oh, thank you, Dr. This, for bringing our Liberian people to come and help our Liberian people. And they forgot the person that brought the person, right? And
Yeah,
finally, when they talked to this lady, and this lady started pointing them to the person, and all the Liberians were shamed, right?
yeah.
Because we don't value our own. We
Mental
have
stability.
to value our own. So even if the banks are doing the same thing, you and myself here, we go to the bank for loan. I mean, it already happened to us in America here, right? But when we go to our own country, for loans, or even our own countrymen go to our own banks, if they are not seeing us as valuable with our business plan and everything, and they still don't give us loan, it's on our system to blame. So again, Liberia is a big puzzle to face, Sapolosia. Liberia is a big puzzle to face. That's why I'm saying everybody need to step up and do 100% of their work. So the central bank money leader, like the Fed in Liberia, should be pushing to make sure that Liberians are taken care of at every banks. The interest rate they charge at banks in Liberia is 24 to 30%. Sabolosia, 24 to 30%. So most people don't want to go to the bank to borrow money. You understand? Who controls that? You understand? So we can go in so many directions. But again, if Liberians, like even if the government were to ask the question of all the loans that were given out in Liberia this year or 2025, how many went to Liberian businesses? You will find bank managers scratching their heads. You understand? So if that is happening, a bank should be fined a huge sum of money so that they can turn around and start loaning money to Liberians. You know, so this is a problem that is so big that the people in leadership have to revisit the purpose for which they got in leadership, because this is so serious that if they're not looking at all these things and they're just looking at, oh, okay, because 10 people came to me this month to ask me to help them, I need to get a raise as a senator. That's crazy. And that's why I'm saying us, the Liberian people, have to now start stepping up to start using our constitution to impeach people or to start memorandum to take people from office if they're not doing the work they're doing. Because Sapolosia, our country have bigger problems, and we need people who can fix it. And when would this start?
Well, if we start when we start holding ourselves accountable, I will go back to my basic. Accountability should be number one. It doesn't matter who gets there, and we need to deviate or get away from this political alliance. When you're in opposition, nothing the government does is right. When you're in government, nothing the government does is wrong. We have to get away from it until we can start putting Liberia first. Our country will continue to go this route. I'm telling you, Steve, the main reason that we're having this discussion is because Liberians do not, and I'm saying it, do not love themselves. People don't love themselves. They have gotten this colonial slavery, mental slavery that they can't graduate from. Every time they try to tell them using this, and unfortunately, they use the hurricanes in the Bible. to keep living their life until we can get away from those things, my brother. Liberia will continue going the route it's going. The fact that I can take money, I will go to Liberia, take the money that's supposed to benefit the man in the community, and take it and consume it I alone. And then that man will tell me, he say, my man, go ahead, at least you doing it for Liberia. At least you building house in Liberia. At least what sense does that make? The money that's will be divided among us. I'm taking it for myself, and you telling me, say, yeah, take it. Until we can realize those things, until we can realize our rights, until we can realize that the nation belongs to all of us, we'll continue heading this direction. And like Robert Pro said, some of us who went to school together, some of us who were one day debating that things are going the wrong way, things are going the wrong way, and then when we get to that same place, we're looking the other way. It's just insane. You know, everybody should stay in their lane. The unemployment rate is high in Liberia. One of the factors is because we outsourcing jobs. Just imagine. I don't know whether it's still happening, but I know during George Weah time, call you had when you're calling for the put, your call had to go to India for them to answer technical support in India. When you in Liberia, you can get anybody. The men don't even understand Liberian English. Why would you want to send your call to India from the put? So you got high unemployment rate, but you're outsourcing job. You got high unemployment rate, but you're taking your job and giving it to foreigners within the country. Job that your Liberians are qualified to do. And I will keep insisting on this. There should be no reason why we have store managers as a foreigner when we have a lot of business degree holders in Liberia. We need to push Liberia first. It don't happen in most African countries. And we're all in the same sub-region. In Ghana, in Ivory Coast, like the brother said, even in Guinea. I don't know for Sierra Leone much. So when will we start? When will our country develop? You're creating middle income for a foreigner who will take that money and go back to his country and build. And then you keep saying, these Liberian people are lazy. They can't do this. They can't do that. What have you given them? No opportunity. You and I sitting here, the reason we're sitting on this platform and can provide is because when we came, America gave us the opportunity. There are a lot of talented Liberians in Liberia that have talent to do a lot of great things, but they have been strangulated by the very people they elect to put in offices. That is wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah, Sapolosi. I mean, this brings tears to all of us eyes. And like you see, my brother Mariwa just posted here when we're talking about loans, right? Every step of the way, you gotta bribe your way in. So you gotta pay to sign and get accepted to do the application. You gotta pay to get accepted to do the application. You gotta pay to complete the application. You gotta pay to get the loan approved. And then when the loan get approved for the money to get disbursed to you, you got to pay for them to disburse the money to you. Then when the money get disbursed, then the interest you have to pay become wahala. So the common people cannot get loan in Liberia that easy. So the Lebanese man can pay the little bribe he can pay to get his way in there. That's how come the Seti brother and all the other big companies can get loans, and our common people cannot get loan. And I mean, Sapolosia, we cannot stop. You know, if anything was encouraging you or discouraging you to say you want to stop the little work we do here on Sundays, I would say let's not stop. You know, maybe through our discussion, somebody will hear something and it will become a better Liberian. That is my hope. And to Rivers Pro, this is what gives me hope that someday, Liberians will make the right choice and will have the right people who really care for Liberia at every level. Because just through this discussion, as you can look on this one thing here, we have the law enforcers here who are the law enforcers who have to enforce the law, that if any company break that law, they have to enforce it. We have to have inspectors. So many people will get hired just from this one process, who will be checking on the companies that are giving job and are not doing the right thing. So many jobs will be created just to do inspection, to follow up on jobs that are created and how our people are being treated. So, Sapolosi, I'll let you say one thing, then I can close the show up because, again, this has been a great discussion. Thank you so much for always putting your passion in it so much. But sometimes I got to hold you small because you let it go too bad on our people. So, say something, then I will say my part to end the show.
Yes, again, look, Liberians, when we say these things, we're not saying it to come. I mean, for me personally, it's not to attack any individual, but we need to create a system in our country where the little man can have the opportunity. Liberians, one thing I see we like doing is celebrating the success of Liberians who other countries have given opportunity to become better. Then we'll clap, we'll cheer them up, and we say, oh, the Liberian man, the man represent the Liberian flag. But at the end of the day, Liberia has not really done anything for that man. And you guys get mad while Liberians who leave will go and devote their nationality to other countries. And why they didn't come? Why man didn't go play football for Liberia? Why they didn't go do that for Liberia? Because Liberia has not given him the opportunity. But you got talented Liberians right in the country. You're not giving them the opportunity to shine. You push them away because you want to grab everything by yourself because you're in government today, you're in position today. That is wrong. That is wrong. And let me say this. I don't see any leadership in Liberia. There is no leaders. All I see are a bunch of insecure managers in Liberia leading the country. Because a true leader create opportunities. A true leaders create leaders. Until we can start having leaders to run our country, we'll continue running down this rabbit hole where we can't find a solution. Create opportunity for your young people. Every year, the University of Liberia, AMU, AMEU, or UMU, Cottington, and so forth, are graduating students. Those are talents. There are bright ones among them. But you suppress them, you strangulate them so that they can be successful because somebody wants to be in government for 50 years of their life. They can't leave government, which is the only means of employment in the country. If we don't want to depend on government, when you get into power, create the avenue where the young people will have to go and venture outside in the private sector. Going forward, let us create law and enforce the labor law that states that, like a position, accounting, business manager, and stuff should be the one working in the store, not a Lebanese man from Lebanon. Let us create middle class income Liberians, young men who are bright and smart, young women who are bright and smart. Let them show their potential in the country and let them develop our country. Stop grabbing onto power and provide the necessity, the opportunity for your people to grow so that our country can develop. Liberians, with this, I will say thank you for your time. And I hope those in leadership, why the street may not be famous, why the street, our platform may not be the one that insult people, but we want to bring education and will remain giving education, not the flamboyant ones. We love our country. That is why we're doing it. And if Liberia shall rise, all of us need to work together. It is time for the religious group, traditional group, civil society, journalists, lawyers, doctors, everybody speak on the labor laws in Liberia so that we can have some of our people live from mattress or from the ground to mattress or to bed or to some other level of condition that can make their children to have a better future and say, look, I want to be a classroom teacher. Look, I want to be a nurse. If those incentives are not there to encourage those people, we're not going to get teachers. We're not going to get doctors. We're not going to get nurses. All we're going to be running after our politicians who will come and break down the country. Thank you so much and have a wonderful Easter Sunday.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And I think you said it all. So, family, again, I just want to thank you all for watching. Again, happy Easter. And I wish you guys all the best. And as we all dream to make Liberia a better place, I just want to say let's keep trying in our own little area, wherever you are. Keep trying, keep talking to your friends. Some of you have friends that are in leadership. Ask them these questions. Ask them. Say, what is your dream? What is your vision for the Liberia that you are working so hard to become elected? What is your dream? Is that dream dying, or is it just something that you now lay on the side because you got the position? Ask them these questions. What can they do to make some of these things work for us? You know, you may know the labor minister, you may know the justice minister, you may know the police director. Somebody, Ask them, tell them, show them some of these videos that are being shown on social media where Liberians are being abused at different stores, at different companies. Liberians are being abused. We will stand for Liberians. Liberians are not people that are xenophobic or anything. We love people, but because of this love, people shouldn't abuse us for that. You know, other countries like in South Africa, they are kicking foreigners out. We cannot do that as Liberians. We don't, we not, that's not our style. You understand? But we want our people to be treated right. We want our people to be treated with respect. We want our people to be given wages, what they call living wages in America here. What they call living wages are when somebody work for you, let them get paid so that they can be able to feed their family and send their children to school. On that note, we want to say thank you so much to all of you. I just want to end the show with a sad note. We lost one of our dear family member, community members, Mr. Michael Freeman. He was a hard worker in the community. He did so much for the community. I mean, he was on the soccer team. He worked with so many kids, and you know, we lost him yesterday in the community, and it's been tough for our community. It's just something that I've never done before. This is the first condolence I'm giving on this platform, but this one is close to home. I just wanted to stop and say that, and I wish his family all the best and everyone that is related to him. I want to say, be strong and hang in there. You know, everything has time, and we just pray that you guys remain strong. And to the children, we wish you guys all the best and stay strong. Again, thank you to everybody. You guys have a great week, Mr. Sapolosia. Thank you so much for today. You have a great day. It was
Yeah,
nice
thank
seeing
you.
you last weekend, even though at the end of the day I couldn't see you, but it was good hanging with you small. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. And your presence was highly appreciated last week. And with that, I want to extend my condolence to you guys. And from on behalf of the Liberian Association of Greater Houston here, I want to extend that condolence to the LWF. Is that,
LCA,
yeah, FC.
LCA, DFW, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the Liberian community there in Dallas. So I want to say we extend our condolences to you guys, and we pray that you guys remain strong and keep on the hard work that you guys do.
All right. Thank you, brother. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
All right.